It's basically just plain text with a logo in the corner. If you went to a site like this today, in the 2015 year, would you buy from this site? Would you feel comfortable putting your personal information, your credit card information in on this site? The next one would be to show you this movie promotion slide. This is actually from Jurassic Park. So this was built to showcase one of the Jurassic Park sequels from 1996. Millions of dollars were made on the first movie, and this was the internet presence of the blockbuster follow-up. If you're like me, your impression of these websites are probably, wow, those are pretty terrible. But to be fair, that's where we were. Those sites were modern, they were cutting edge, and they held our attention. All of these companies effectively were very successful. We've heard of them all today. There's been sequels and things like that. So this kind of comes to the so what portion of our presentation. What about today? What makes our sites modern, and how are they judged today? How can we make them engaging? How do we make people stick around? So to that end, what I'd like to show you is to show you the new versions of these sites and just kind of take a moment and look at them. And we're also going to compare them to the old version. Notice how they make you feel. Notice how the pictures really change the presentation. So for the next example to show you here, this is, and I want to be clear, I'm not making any kind of a political statement here, but do notice the size of the picture on this website. And for the record, I did say big picture. I didn't say big hair, but that's what I was thinking. But compare these two sites side by side. Millions of dollars are spent on presidential election campaigns every single go around. They spend tons of time trying to deliver their message in a way that the public can digest. And look at how that message has evolved in 20 years. We as the public have a very limited attention span. We need our information clear and concise, based solely on the site, not on the candidates or how you feel or any preconceived notions. Which one of these is more appealing to you? Which one of these is more appealing in our day and age? And which one more closely represents what you're currently presenting to the world on your website? So this is also that same news site. This is USA Today, their sports section. You can change, we see have a lot of pictures here. They want you to come to this page and go through individual links. They want you to read, and they want you to read and digest everything that's here. And so I kind of ask you that question. If you look at the picture of Chris Sales there, could you write that description in words? You could just kind of get that feeling that picture says much more than we could actually write down with words. It adds a lot of personality to this site. And when you look at these side by side to compare these, looking back and forth at these, compare the amount of space that's dedicated to images and texts. Look at the before and after. Which site is more appealing? Which one would make you stop and take notice? Which one would you rather visit on a regular basis? So just the last two here. So this is Amazon's site. This is what, current site. I took this screenshot yesterday morning. So Amazon knows that now in this day and age we want to see what we buy before we buy it. They have huge images that not only advertise the promotions that you see here, but they also don't show a single product without a picture. We look with our eyes and we buy with our eyes. When was the last time you purchased something without at least seeing a picture of what it looked like? And that really is relevant to your site as well, your school sites, because this comparison speaks volumes. Back in 1996, the site on the left must have worked because Amazon is still a massive company to this day. But which site would you feel more comfortable giving your credit card information to? And kind of in that same line, what about your kids? Which site would you feel more comfortable sending your kids to? Think about that. Your website says something about your school. The pictures on this site here on the right, they create warmth. They represent professionalism in a way that the text on the left alone cannot. So what is your site saying about your district, about your teacher page, about your department? What is it currently saying? And so this last one here, this is what a multi-million-dollar movie website looks like now. This is the site for the newest Jurassic Park film. They spent tons of money to make the movie, and they need their sites to get the audience excited. And why is that? Because movies are released into an intensely competitive environment. If you're ever looking for crazy cutting-edge websites, you can count on the movie industry to create them. Their websites are almost always outside of the box, and they are competing for your attention. But much in the same way, your district site is doing the same thing. Schools are not much different. You are competing for the attention of your parents against everything else that's going on. The movie industry seems to think that the more visuals engage their audience is better. What about you? Which one of these does a better job of keeping your attention? Which one is more interesting? So then I asked the question, what has changed? Why have websites evolved so rapidly? Why visuals now and not visuals before? So this really short video perfectly illustrates what's changed about our internet. So hear a wonderful sound. So we're all used to that noise, right? That is the sound of the sound of the internet in its infancy. We used our modems to dial in and connect to the information superhighway. In the age of dial-up internet, web developers had to build websites that met users right where they were. Put quite simply, words load quickly and pictures don't. We had to selectively place pictures on our websites. Sorry about the little follow-through from YouTube, but we had to put pictures selectively on our pages to make sure that users, because users would struggle to see them in the dial-up internet days. So you want to kind of think about pictures as now with only 3% of the US on dial-up internet, we have this opportunity to use pictures anywhere and everywhere we want. We can use them to replace words, to convey emotions and thoughts in a succinct and powerful way. If you think about it, pictures are really everywhere on the internet right now. And so I'm showing you a super clever meme that I found on the internet yesterday. But remember when you couldn't use internet before when someone was on the phone? So what I love about this meme is it's a perfect illustration of what we're talking about today, is that words can only convey a very small portion of this overall message. So, but with the words on this page combined with this wonderful picture of James Van Der Beek, they trigger a new thought process in us. And for some of us, it triggers an emotional response from our past. We remember what it was like when, the phone wouldn't work because mom was on the internet or because we were waiting for an important phone call so we couldn't dial in and use Yahoo. So, as they say, just as Deborah repeated before, a picture is really worth 1,000 words. And so now for the moment of truth as we kind of go into looking at our websites. If we took a screenshot of your web page from 20 years ago and compared it to the site you manage today, whether it be a teacher page, a district page, a department page, how different would it look? Has your website evolved to meet your audience to where they are now in the new age of high-speed internet? So, moral of the story is, today I bring you good news. Schoolwires really has you covered. We offer a complete set of tools that really empower our users with any skill level to amplify the wow factor of their individual site and infuse it with pictures throughout your layout. So I'm going to kind of take you through multiple portions here. I want to start out by showing you live examples of some of the sites that are currently using the Schoolwires platform and how they're engaging their community visually through pictures. And then I will take you briefly behind the scenes to our Site Manager tool and show you how easy it is to upload those pictures. Keep in mind along the way that today will not be a fully blown training. It's more of just an instruction on the items that I show you today. And if you want more information about this, feel free to reach out to us here at Schoolwires, and we would be happy to get some training scheduled for you and your team. So let's go out and look at some of those customer examples. So I'm going to start off by showing you just a few district sites, district level sites. And this first one comes from Wake County Public Schools. And Wake County has taken the design of their site to the next level by allowing pictures to speak for themselves. Just see how little words are on this page, and it's just mostly this large image. But just like that terrible James Van Der Beek meme I showed you a few minutes ago, this picture is communicating much about this site and this district as several paragraphs would be able to show. I believe it's more engaging than the text would be, and it's more powerful than a wall of text because people see this, they absorb the message, they see the look on her face, the caring look on her face, looking at the students around her, they see that the students are engaged, and that says far more about this district than a standalone wall of text would. And it's not just an image that takes up the whole space. Using the Schoolwires technology, this entire page right here is a link to a further story. So if it's engaging enough to get people interested and they click through to it, it will actually take them to the next level. It takes them into this story. This is a full news stories, and sites like this one do an exceptional job of utilizing space. And I really like their site. The other thing to show you about their site, which is very unique, is they have down here, they have a selfie wall. And what this selfie wall is very, very unique. I haven't seen this on any other page, but they encourage everyone in their school district to take pictures, to take selfies, and then and tweet them to the school district. And what I think is so great about this is that it really helps build community, and in a sense, it really shrinks the size of this otherwise large district. It puts a personal face to it. I mean, these are the individual students' cell phones that they took pictures during graduation. I just think that's fantastic, and they featured them here on the page, and it gets really everybody engaged. Another great site for pictures is Duval County. They're using an exceptional use of space here, and I really feel like some people turn up their nose when they see these big pictures. They really feel like in order for their site to be informative, they need to have a lot more text. But what's great about this is that each one of these items is a link, and it's very informative. So you can click on any of these items and get more information, and then throughout the page, every single news story down here has its own little teaser text. And they're using, this is a custom application here, but they're using our News and Headlines app so they feature a little picture, and that tells you a lot more about your news story than just standard text would otherwise. And Aspen County is another school district, or Aspen School District, that shows a lot of pictures on their homepage. But what I think is great about this is that they're really using it as a brand-defining feature. It's hard for someone to look at this site and not wish that they could move here to Aspen. After all, isn't that exactly what we want our site to do? To showcase everything that makes your district exceptional, and we want to encourage others to move to your district to get to know more. And as in Missouri that has taken their district site to the next level with a very simple, clean, and professional picture-centric presentation. You wouldn't know by looking at this site, but this is a very small 5-building district, down in Missouri. The images that they've chosen to highlight here really show what the district stands for. And they're also leveraging the above the fold concept, which you'll see on a lot of our sites too. You've got sort of the big headline up here, and then as you scroll down the page, so this is designed to get your attention, this is the headline, and as you scroll down the page, here's the rest of the more informative information. But they use that picture as the headline, and it really draws people in. It gets people to stop and take a look. And you could say sort of the quality of that headline, the quality of your pictures is what gets people to stop and take a look. And then it's the quality of your content that gets them to stick around, but you really need something to grab their attention to pull them in. And I did want to also show, because I think they did such a great job with it, take you to one of their sub-sites as well, the RM Captain Elementary School. And just based on changing the pictures, the layout is the same. It feels like it's an elementary school. They've got a lot of great photos in here, but this kid's face says 1,000 words. It's just a fantastic presentation of what makes their site great, and really highlights everything about Clayton, and would really make you want to know more information about them. So next, I'd like to take you through a couple of teacher pages. Mrs., and I'm going to butcher names here, I'm not very good at that, but Mrs. Mikulski uses images here on her teacher page. She adds a layer of personalization on her page. She has a great banner across the top, a picture of herself, and I love this rotating photo gallery down here. What it does is it shows you exactly what the material that she's teaching in her class. As these rotate through, you can actually see the different items. She's clearly a social studies teacher, right? She shows the pyramids. She's got some archaeology pictures and different things like that in here. But once again, I think it's way more effective than just having a wall of text that explains exactly what you do in that class. The next example I wanted to show you is Mrs. Henninger from Kaysville Elementary, and I really think she has a tremendous amount of personality on her page. I love the layout that she's picked, but specifically here on her Meet Your Teacher page, she's included just a couple pictures of her and her family, but it's really a wonderful presentation here. It adds a lot of personality to her. But what you want to kind of think about is it doesn't just look good, but pictures of her and her family really set the tone and define what's important to her. So if you had a student in her classroom, wouldn't this help you feel more comfortable about her? These pictures show warmth. They communicate this comfort, and they personalize her in a way that mere words cannot. So really these pictures, they generate an emotional response in the people that view your content, and you can really draw them in, make them feel more comfortable, and that's what we want, right? We want our parents to feel comfortable sending our students into school, or sending their students into school feeling like they're going to be cared for. And I really feel like these pictures really seal that for this teacher. Now the next example I want to show you is David Nuttall in Higley Schools. And what I absolutely love about this site is it's just so clean, it's so professional, and he has some videos on here. He's the video production instructor, but he does a tremendous job with the with pictures as well. This is one of the sharpest teacher pages I've seen anywhere. But he really uses pictures to highlight his text. It's really not just one or the other. In a lot of places, he could just show pictures and no text, and it would still be very successful. So as you kind of scroll down the page here, you can see all these different pictures, and you really get a sense, right? They kind of speak for themselves. You can see all these great pictures that he has included. And in particular, I really love this section up here, his student awards. Just with these little images here, you know what this page is about. You can just tell. You click on one button, you're like, boom, he's an award-winning teacher. And so it communicates to us. I haven't even read the text, but the pictures and the presentation really seal it and do a really great job of communicating what he's about. So Thom Howell, I wanted to show this site because I wanted to highlight something. It's sort of a hot-button issue when it comes to images, and it is the all-amazing animated GIF. So each of the ones you see here, each one of his links here, each one of these animated GIFs is actually included in the Schoolwires package. And so when we get into the background, you can actually see these images, you can pull them out. And so love them or hate them, you might not like you don't feel like they're professional, or maybe you're for or against the argument of animated GIFs. But the one thing I think that's undeniable is that if you were to look at this site and remove the animated GIFs, you would realize that the personality would drop out of this site. The animated GIF adds a layer of complexity and interest that would otherwise really be lost if you just had the text sitting alone on the page. And so this next teacher as well, I really feel like it's very impressive, and I think Sloan Wood here at Cox Mill Elementary just has done a fantastic job. There's a ton of information on her page. It's kind of busy and it's a bit eclectic, but again, I think these pictures really set the tone for her site. So as you kind of scroll through here, and I need to turn on QuickTime, but you can see all these different images in here. Every single post that she has a great set of images. And it really speaks to who she is, right? It really screams, I'm a music teacher. I love art. I love my students. I'm really plugged in. And it really adds a lot of flavor to everything that she does and adds a lot of personality. And that's really what we're trying to do, connect to people in a way that the text alone could not. So the last custom example I wanted to show you here is this is the Bay Valley Athletic League page, and it's hosted on the Freedom High School site. But really very simple. It's just the photo gallery app. It's one of the apps that the Schoolwires platform offers, and it's just placed on the page with some text. But this is exactly what parents and community members want to be able to see. They have a ton of great images in here, and it is an exceptional showcase of everything that makes the Bay Valley Athletic Association great. So with that, I'd like to go ahead and transition into talking a little bit about, or looking at the back end of the solution here. And I'm just going to show uploading a couple of pictures and really how this process is simplified in the Schoolwires solution. So this is a mock-up of our Euphoria template. One thing I did want to add is that if you saw any of the templates and you're really interested in overhauling your site, definitely reach out to us, reach out to your local sales rep, and they can get you hooked up with looking at some of the newer templates. But this is one of our brand new templates. This is the Euphoria template, and I'm just going to go ahead and upload some images in here. I'm already logged in. But one of the things that the Schoolwires solution does is that we recognize that people that are going to be using this solution, may or may not have a strong technological background. You may not be familiar with photos or how they work and all the different hurdles that come into when you're uploading photos. And so our apps are designed to simplify that process for you. So what they'll do is, for example, this, you may not know right off the top of your head how big this photo gallery space is, but the system will automatically reprocess and reformat the photo to try to make it fit that space. So what I've done here is I'm going to upload a photo, and the photo that I've picked out is a very large photo. I actually left the dimensions in there. It's 3840 by 2160, and this screen is definitely not 3800 pixels wide. So when we upload the image, it's actually going to resize and resample that photo to try to make it fit into that space. Now, it's not a perfect solution. If you upload an oblong photo in the wrong direction, you know, it's not going to magically fit, but it will take a larger photo and fit it down into that space. I didn't have to take it to Photoshop first and edit it before I brought it into the solution. But now that it's here, I've added this photo in. I can add some flavor to it. I mentioned before the ability to add a web address, so when people click on it, that it will, you know, it will pop up here, or it will link you out to something else. You can do that right here. And then in addition, here you can add a caption to it. I'm just going to call this close-up water drop, because that's what it is. We'll add that to the page, adding a little bit of flavor text to it. And then you can actually adjust your photos. We have a built-in photo editor here inside Centricity 2, so you can go in and edit these photos. Anything from your basic adjusting things, you could go through here and add this. You could crop the photo, you could resize it, you can do all those sorts of things. And what's really powerful about this is that you don't have to manage a separate solution to make this happen. It's just built into our product. And just to show you a couple of things, I'll do a quick border overlay. I'm no artist, so I'm just going to kind of throw some things over it, but you can kind of add some effects to it. We'll put a little bit of an overlay in there as well. Maybe we'll do this little too old effect and lay that over the top. So you can really kind of color your images, add them in. You can even put text right over the top of them right here if you wanted to type in there. So you save the photo right where it is. So we've saved the photo into place, and then we're going to publish that photo gallery. So we took that really large image, we resized it, resampled it automatically, and then we did some changes to it inside the photo editor. And I'll refresh the page and just show you how that looks. So it's actually back here. But what I love about this, like I said, is I'm no expert, right? This just worked automatically. It just took care of itself. It automatically did the formatting and allowed me to do the editing. I didn't have to take it anywhere else. So this is a really, you know, I encourage you to kind of think outside the box and to add some new photos to your website. So the other example is down on one of our department pages on an art page. So here's a very basic presentation, right? Just some text about art on a page. If we wanted to enhance this page, we could add a lot of flavor to it by adding some pictures. So I'm going to jump in here to the Site Manager page and open up that editing experience. Here's the home page. So the first thing that you can do on that home page is we could replace this title with a picture. So I'm going to go in and insert an image. We'll just insert a medium-sized image here, and we'll insert this directly into the text. And this is one of the things that the Schoolwires solution is really powerful with as well, is it will actually prompt you to make sure that you're successful. So every image that you upload to our site needs to have alternative text so that your site remains compliant with ADA compliance. And so we're actually going to prompt you. We're not going to allow you to insert that image without filling this out. So we're just going to put in here the little alternative text for it, and we will insert it into the page. Okay, so now we've added this instead of just a straight title on there. So it really adds a bit of flavor to this art page. So you can see that here. All right. And then two other things I wanted to add to this page. We'll go back in here. I'm going to manage the apps and layouts. I'm going to change the layout and add a nice little right sidebar to it. And I'm going to add a couple of images. We have several different apps that will allow you to bring images into your page. I showed you the photo gallery app on the home page. That content app with the text there, you can insert images right into the text as I showed you before. What I'm going to show you here is one of our newer apps, the image app. And I'm going to create that. We're going to call this Sidebar 1. And I've got two little images I want to add, so I'm going to add another one called Sidebar 2. Okay, so we've got these images here. As always with our app concept, we're going to drag those apps over here onto the right-hand side of the page. So now they're dropped over here, and I'm just going to upload a couple of real quick photos here. So we're going to grab them from, we're going to upload them from our computer. I'm going to grab these and pull these in. So there's our first photo. And the alternative text, I'm just going to call this Walk on the Street. Save it into place. And we'll add one more here. And we'll just call this one I. So we'll go ahead and save that into place, and then I'm going to go ahead and refresh the page. So this is just a really simple presentation. Before we just had a very, very simple presentation of just text, right? But now it's an art page. We've added a tremendous amount of color, a tremendous amount of engagement, and just doing something as simple as that, you can add a lot of color, a lot of flair to your sites and make them more engaging and really kind of help draw people in. So with that, what I'd like to kind of transition into here is your questions. So we'll move forward into that next.
Thank you, Bob. That was wonderful. So we have a couple of questions. I encourage everyone to please put your questions in that little question bar over in the control panel, and Bob will be happy to answer them for you. So our first question, Bob, is from Jamie. Jamie says, I seem to lose quality sometimes while uploading photos to our website. How can I avoid this?
So one of the things that can happen from time to time when you're uploading those photos is that when it's trying to refit them into a smaller box, it will try to resample them down. What I've found to be the most successful is to start off with the largest image that you can get. If you take another product and cut down the and if you take another app or another solution and cut down the quality before you try to upload it into Schoolwires, that can really mess with the quality. So the JPEG format, I don't want to go too deep into this, but anything with a .jpg on it is actually a compressed format for photos. So what you want to do is you want to start off with the largest file possible and then try to fit it in. The other option is if you get something that is the right dimensions to begin with, if you do want to cut it down to that exact size, you'll be a little bit more successful with that as well. But basically just try to start with the largest photo possible and go down from there. If it's a small photo and then you try to stretch it out, that won't show up very well either.
Great, thank you. Our next question is from Yvonne. Is the auto formatting of images for the photo gallery new? We've had to resize our images so they don't expand. So Yvonne just wants to know if that's a new feature.
So it might depend on your template. So if you notice the template that I was using was the Euphoria template. It might depend on your template and the way that it's built. The Euphoria template specifically, as the size of the photo gallery sort of resizes and reshapes, that content is sort of locked onto those outermost edges. It's possible that you're using an older template that doesn't handle that quite as well if you're adding really, really large images. But as far as I know, the basic resize and reformatting of the photo gallery app is pretty consistent. The one thing to be careful of, like I said, is that the space on the Euphoria template that I was just showing you, that's a rectangular space, and I was uploading a rectangular picture into that space, a much larger rectangular picture, but a rectangular picture all the same. If I had taken, like, let's say a circular photo or a square photo, it would still be distorted and show up in a strange format. So it helps a lot, and it does a lot of the reformatting for you, but it's certainly not perfect. If you have a photo that's really not shaped to fit there, you will need to use another solution to make it fit.
Great. Our next question is from Liz. Why do my pictures look blurry and grainy when I upload them? They are crisp when I start out.
And that's that same idea, especially if you upload a photo that's let's say it's 300 by 200. If you try to put it into a space that's 600 by 400, the number of pixels, the resolution on the photo is going to be spread out, and it will lower the overall quality. That's why it's better to go from big to small than from small to big, as well as to make sure that, like I said, that the general layout of the page or the general layout of the photo will sort of fit into that gallery. Those are kind of my basic tips for getting you started. The other things that I do want to point out is the How to Why tab that we have inside the solution. There's a lot of information in there about best practices with photos, and then actually attached in the webinar here, there's two handouts, best practices that came from our great support team about best practices with photos, and I believe that on the follow-up email to this webinar, those handouts will be in there as well. But I'd encourage you to read through those, and I bet that those would help you out a lot as well.
Great. Our next question is from Paul. What app was used for Wake's selfie wall?
That's actually a fantastic question. I honestly don't know the answer to that question. I believe that they're using they might be using another solution, another app to put that in there because of the collage. I don't know of any app where we could put that collage in there. I think they're pulling that from a third-party solution and using our embed code to get that into place.
In fact, Paul, we'll track that down a little bit for you, and we'll email you with the answer to that question. Our next question is from Donald. Can you demo how the art page looks when you squeeze it in responsive design? Are there size limits to make images appear correctly on phones or tablets with a responsive website?
So there are definitely recommendations on those handouts on the page to make sure that they fit. We've got some recommendations in there. And so if we were to look at that template and we just try to shrink it down, we can take a quick look at it and shrink it down a little bit here. So what it's doing is it's actually just on the smaller sizes, it's just pushing them down the page because the best way to install your photos is using, a lot of times is to use like a percentage. So to set the width to 100% instead of a set width, because the set width will try to stay the same size as the screen gets smaller. If it's set to 100% size, then it will resize and fit into place. But the default, at least on this template, is when you've got multiple stacks of information like this, is when they run out of space to fit them both side by side. So this is probably on a small tablet here. When it gets down to that smaller size, it actually snaps to one column and pushes them down to the bottom.
Our next question is from Wendy. Our website has a swoosh, making it difficult to size photos. Any hints on how to make the process easier?
That's a great question as well. I would try to target, the square resolution of it. Thinking that as if the swish isn't there, that would kind of be, or the rectangular space. I think I know the template that you're referring to. It's a great template, but I have heard that before, that some people struggle with that. One of the things you could do is you could reach out to support as well. They might be able to help you, or even put you in touch with someone else who has that same template, and they might have some suggestions. I have not played with it enough to give you a firm enough answer on that. So I don't want to lead you astray, but that would be my recommendation, is to try to think of it as a square and then try to find a photo that will fit inside that square, knowing that some of it will be covered up by the swoosh.
We have a question from Susan. How often are the stories changed on the websites that you showed? I'm assuming she's talking about the client websites. She says, we are constantly adding stories, 2 to 5 a week. What happens to those older stories?
So in a lot of cases, they'll just kind of get pushed aside. You can kind of do it in a variety of ways. Depending on what solution that you're using, one of the options is to use if you use the Headlines and Features app, or which is what most of them are using, you can set the display duration on that. And so if you set the display duration, it will automatically archive that item when the timeline is concluded. So especially for someone like you that's doing an exceptional job of keeping their site up to date by adding new stories, what I would encourage you to do is to set that display duration, and then what will happen is that you say each story is going to expire 2 weeks after I set it. Once it expires, then it basically goes inactive. There's a little toggle button on each item that marks whether it's active or inactive. As soon as that item goes inactive, it disappears from the site, but it's still available to you. So you can go back and pull that item out if you want to reuse it at a later time. But that's what I would suggest, would be to utilize the display duration. But ultimately, what happens to those older stories, if you don't archive them, then they just basically get pushed off the page. So you go from having like 3 stories on your home page, and let's say you've got 15 stories. The other 12 are off the page, and you can click a button that says See All, and they'll see every news story you've ever posted, unless you auto-archive them. So that's kind of a long answer, but I hope that makes sense.
Great. Jamie has another question. Is there a way to make a frame for an entire photo gallery, or do you need to edit each picture?
So if you're referring to the frame that I put around that picture using the add-on for the photo editor, there really is no way to add it to the photo gallery unless you're a little bit savvy with programming using JavaScript. You can actually format those photo galleries and change them around a little bit. But the short answer is you need to edit each picture. If you really wanted something custom rigged up, it's definitely something we could help you do, however.
And here's a question from Susan. Does resizing of photos also change the resolution? We have found that we have so much content that the site begins to move slowly. So I lower the resolution of our pictures before uploading.
So yes, it does resize the photo. It does change the resolution as well as resize. It resizes and resamples when you're using the photo gallery app. I don't know the exact DPI that it takes it down to, but that could certainly be an issue that the site slows down. One of the other things that it could be is depending on the age of your template. You may also be using a template that utilizes some older technology. Back in the day, the old standard for photo galleries was Flash. So we used to build our photo galleries in Flash, and that is sort of an older technology at this point. And so our newer templates do not use Flash, which really helps to speed up that process because a lot of browsers just don't like Flash. And it's one of those things where it used to be the standard and it's not anymore as technology has changed. So that might be part of the problem as well. But we do reduce the resolution to a certain point, but it may help you to lower it more before you actually put it in. You kind of have to kind of judge that balance and make sure that the quality is still there.
Great. And then Carmine asks, what is the best photo format to use?
So the best photo format, generally recommended, we do recommend using the JPEG format. It really is kind of up to you. Each format has its own sort of advantages. Your .tiff is an uncompressed file. Your .tif, that's the if you were going to bring it off of your camera and you wanted to have the highest resolution possible to start, the .tif is really where you want to go. The .jpeg, the JPG, is a bit of a reduced resolution. The advantage to like your PNG file, your .png, is that there's no background with it, so you can actually have a picture without a background. In most scenarios, you're going to have the most success. It's the most common format is to use JPEGs, but it kind of depends on what you're trying to accomplish.
And Susan has another question. If we want further training, are there online modules that take staff through section by section of the templates website?
Yes, we can definitely do a lot of additional training. You can go through that How Do I tab and search out. If I just bring it up real quick on the screen here, so that would be option number one. Go into that How Do I tab, and I just typed in pick, and you've got all kinds of how to add a background image to a page, images to blog posts, add an image, add a link to an image in a calendar event. All kinds of stuff in here step by step. We have videos that you can watch, how to adjust photos using the photo gallery app, the photo gallery overview, et cetera, et cetera. There's a ton of great resources in this. So that's really where I would encourage you to go. If you don't find what you need here, or you really would like some hands-on experience, I would encourage you to reach out to your local sales rep. We could get you set up with our training team, a training specifically designed around what you want. We could do that over the internet, or we could do that in person if that's something you wanted to do.
Wonderful. And we want to remind everyone, too, about our share website. It's just help.schoolwires.com. You'll find information out there, too. I apologize if I don't say your name right. I think it's Rachel or Rachel. She asks, would I be able to get the email regarding the Wake Selfie? Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, we will send out the information that we find regarding that Wake Selfie wall. It is wonderful, and we'll track that down and get that information out to you guys. Another question, where can I go to look at your new templates?
Absolutely. So you can actually, the best place to go is to creative.schoolwires.com, this URL right here. And you can actually, the two kind of templates that we're looking at here, we have our fully customized designs, which are some of the ones like the Wake County example that I showed you. They're underneath here under Made to Order and then Portfolio. So if you go Made to Order and then Portfolio on this page, these are our newest, very, very graphical, very pretty designs that you can look at. So this is the newest Made to Order custom designs. And then the other option is Design Ready Templates down here at the bottom. These are the actual templates themselves under Examples. And this is where you can find, this is the Euphoria template that I was talking about, but you can go through all of them here. Not only can you click on the individual links here, like the Collegian template, you can look at the Collegian template, but then you can also go down and see other customer examples of who actually has this template and how are they utilizing it. It'll actually load up and show you what that page looks like.
Great. Leaf has a question. When I insert an image into a sidebar, like you did in the video, if the picture is larger than the width of the sidebar, the picture overlaps with the text. Are there maximum widths for pictures we should use for different columns?
So I played around with it a little bit on my end. I did some plug and play to make sure that they would fit because I knew I had a limited amount of time to play with it here this afternoon. But basically, I'm not sure the exact width. My particular photos were about 200 pixels wide that I used. And basically what I did is that once I figured out, to make sure everything lined up the way I wanted it to, I actually used the pixlr.com built into the solution. I usually use that solution to crop it down. There's a crop option inside that under the photo editing. So once again, it was convenient because I didn't have to take it somewhere else to make those alterations. But from my experience, about 200 pixels is perfect if you're using the right sidebar, and be careful between the difference between the right sidebar and the two columns, because two columns is two equal-sized columns. The right sidebar is narrower.
Great. It looks like we have one more question, Bob. So, and this is from Teresa. How do I tell which version of Schoolwires I have? I want to know if I have some of the features you are discussing.
Absolutely. So probably your best bet is to send an email or to call into support, or you could even call up your local sales rep because they would be able to look up that information for you. Most of the features that I showed you today are going to be available on just about all the solutions or all the versions that are out there. We always roll out the latest software to everyone. It's just that there are some packages out there that offer some different features. But probably your best first stop is going to be reaching out to support. You can ask them about that and ask them about, do you have the image app? I believe everyone should have the image app and the photo gallery app. But if you're really looking for, we can kind of decide whether the answer to your problems or your questions would be a new template or maybe upgrading you to a package that has those options in it, if that makes sense.
Wonderful. Bob, you've done an awesome job answering all of these questions. And it looks like we got to the end of them. So if you want to bring up the PowerPoint slide at the end, we can show all those resources one more time.
Absolutely.
And yeah, thanks everyone for joining us today. Keep an eye out again for our email. It will have the webinar recording in there. And if we can get information about that Wake County site, we'll put that in your follow-up email too. And in the meantime, to learn more about using photos on your website or to request more in-depth training, check out these resources on the screen. And thanks for joining us again. Thank you, Bob. You've done a fantastic job. And everyone, enjoy the rest of your day.